There you go. How are you?
Good. How are you, Greg?
Yeah, good man. I can't complain about anything.
That's good. I'm sure you can complain about something,
I'm sure if I put my mind to it, yeah.
but I'm glad to hear these are okay.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Dillinger Escape Plan are coming to Australia in August, commemorating your debut album, Calculating Infinity. Uh,
Right.
is it true that most of the music was written on acoustic guitar?
Yeah, a lot of it was a lot of ideas, at least the initial ideas, the kind of the frameworks of a lot of things. Yeah, I would often sit on the toilet and start playing guitar and then realize a couple hours later that, man, I better wipe now, unfortunately.
Were you hearing a lot of the electric sounds in your mind at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was more about like notes just note choices and sounds and kind of it was more like I'd be playing something I'd almost hear like a second guitar part going at the same time and sometimes drums and things like that. But um, a lot of these ideas were the parts that weren't as reliant on distortion or for them to sound aggressive. A lot of the early stuff was uh, really very percussive. And so sometimes an acoustic really lent itself to that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, what was the brief to each other going into making the album? What was the goal?
Yeah, it was a really tough time because we had put out like a demo kind of EP that was a self-titled thing. Then we put out a three-song EP that was a little closer to what we had were becoming, which was a much more, I guess, technical kind of frantic, visceral band. And um, and then our bass player, who was super technically gifted and had a lot of soul and was a big part of the sound, was in a car crash and was paralyzed, and he wasn't able to do the album. And then our other guitar player, who was really the technical guy in the band, I was more just kind of the punk guy, blues guy. I wrote a lot of things, but I wasn't the guy who was going to bring a lot of the shreddy type guitar type stuff to it. And he quit. He said, "I didn't think this was going to go anywhere. Um, there's more opportunity I thought we ever get, and I really have made my mind up to go to school and do computer science." And so he quit, and then it's like we signed an album deal and we were ready to put out this full length album. At least within our small subgenre and scene, there was a lot of expectation for it, and it was just like kind of like me and our drummer, and while he was uh, a force, and was really instrumental in the sound of the band. Like, I really didn't think I could step up to the plate and satisfy the needs of this album on my own. So I think part of it was just me uh, somewhat overcompensating for the fact that I had tremendous amount of imposter syndrome and really just pushing myself so far in trying to create something that was satisfying the people and ourselves who had this expectation.
Yeah. Because of your bass player situation, you had to play the bass parts. Had you played much bass beforehand?
No, no more than just the typical guitar player who just picks up a bass and messes around. And as real musicians, we really wanted to make sure to us, the bass wasn't just a guitar with less strings. And our producer is also a bass player, so he was very, very adamant about using bass in the right way to glue things together and things like that. So yeah, it was very difficult to do that stuff and do it right. It was a real lesson for me.
Yeah. The album consists of some incredibly aggressive music, some, I suppose you could call it cinematic pieces in there as well, ending in the 8 minute epic variations on a cocktail dress. Was the track order important to you? Do you recall spending much time on the sequence?
Yeah, I think it always is important because especially in those days where people actually listen to full albums, the journey is really important. And listening to an album in its entirety was such a special thing, and being able to listen to vinyl or put a cassette tape into your car and just let it just keep playing and flipping back and forth until the thing literally is playing at a different speed. It's just it's worn down that much. Those are the things that those were the soundtracks to our lives, and that's what was important to us. So especially on those early albums, as it always was. I mean, we always acted as if people were going to be listening to these albums in their entirety, but it was really important to create a journey.
Yeah. Were you using an ESP guitar back then?
No, actually on the album, what did I use? I was using, I think I had maybe like a Charvel, and I was also using a Parker Fly,
Okay.
which I don't know if you're familiar. Um, they were like these really thin, like graphite, like guitars with like these acoustic pickups that were like really, really clean, and that became kind of part of the sound of that album as well.
So, how did you feel when ESP came to you down the road and said, "We want to make you a signature guitar"?
Oh, it was a dream come true. For one, it was a dream come true to remember a time when I couldn't even afford a guitar. And I think the first guitar I used in Dillinger was a guitar that was hung up over a bar, and it said like Michelob on it. It said like had like a beer name on it, and I think someone who worked there took it and gave it to me, and I spray painted it with silver paint, and it was like horrible action, and I was using that to eventually get to the point where I was able to design a guitar was a dream come true. And there was also a lot of things I needed to do in order to make it really functional for the way we played live, like moving the volume knob out of the way so you could play aggressively without turning your guitar on and off, and just things like that. So it was really functional. It was great. It was great.
So, why did you want a semi-hollow body on the BW1?
Because I had a an X tone, which was a semi-hollow guitar that ESP was doing, but it had a bolt-on neck. It didn't have like metal pickups or anything like that, but it did have a sound that I loved it. It just sounded really good. There was something about it. It sounded really good. It played really good. And um, and then on top of that, an important aspect of my signature was the Evertune, which at the time I don't think was in any other. It definitely wasn't in any other signature guitars. And it was a new technology that kept your guitar in tune, which was also really functional for me with the way we played live. And that was just, it was like I felt like if anybody needs that, it's me, because I threw my guitar around so much, it would go out of tune. I couldn't even use a bolt on because I play so aggressively that the neck would get loose, like so the Evertune was an important part of the design of the guitar, but the Evertune is a tremendous amount of steel that takes up a lot of real estate in the guitar, and it's heavy. So part of the idea to do the semi hollow was also to bring the weight down a little bit, and then consequently, the sound of the wood, the metal of the Evertune, and then that hollow compartment together just ended up creating a sound that is just really amazing. And the guitar is just really highly rated and reviewed by people who don't have any idea who I am. And that was really the goal, was to create a versatile guitar that would work for anybody.
Were you a string breaker because of the way you played?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely a string breaker. Um, and also another great feature of using the Evertune is that you can um, you can adjust it so that no matter, not only does it not change pitch, if the string stretches, but you can actually adjust it so when you bend the string, it actually adjusts using the spring component inside and maintains pitch even when you're bending the string. So that enables me to set the guitar so that all the strings bend normally for soloing, but the low E, stays in pitch no matter what. So picking as aggressively as I do, it enables me to stay in tune no matter what. I used to lot when I recorded, I used to have to like 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 tune a little bit like flat, because I would pull it sharp when I was recording, because I'd be playing so aggressively. So this was a really great, this has been a really great feature for just being able to play aggressive, jump around, move a lot, record, and put that much intensity into the recordings that I would live without the guitar being out of tune on the recordings.
Yeah. So whose idea was it to get the band back together and commemorate calculating infinity?
Ironically, it really wasn't any of us. A friend of mine who is the who started a website called Metal Injection, and it's a big, very big metal website, and it's grown a lot through the years. And he was doing his a Metal Injection festival. Um, the album Calculating Infinity had always been one of his favorite albums, and the writers and the editors of the site had always given it a lot of accolades. And he came to me and said, "Would you consider doing a reunion with Dimitri, playing calculating stuff for this festival?" At the time, it was like, well, we hadn't really thought of that. I would love to play with Dimitri again. I do think there's a lot of people who weren't able to experience the band in this form. Um, but there's no way we could be ready in time. So sorry, we can't do it. We're just not. We would never be ready to play these songs in time for your festival. We're just not. We're all busy, and I talked about it with our agent, and he's like, next year is the 25th anniversary of that album. I was like, it is, and he's like, yeah. He's like, maybe you should consider doing something if you are kind of excited by it, and the rest of the guys are into it. So I talked to the guys, and we decided, you know what, let's do it, but let's set it up right, and let's do it with enough time to really, um, learn the material again, and wrap our heads around it.
So did you have to go back and find gear that you used back at the time? Is that important?
No, because the gear we were using was probably such crap and so unpredictable at the time. I mean, things have come so far and are so much more reliable now that we tried to move into the future a little bit as far as gear is concerned. But we did have to go back and really learn these songs again. And we did use some technology like AI technology to like break the songs into stems because we didn't have like sessions for any of this stuff, and go back and learn some of this stuff again. So
Yeah. What do you guys do just before you hit the stage? Do you have any rituals or any superstitions?
no, I warm up my hands. I stretch my hands. I stretch. This is something I never used to do when I was a younger man. And it's interesting. I kind of think to myself, why wasn't I doing that? Why was I just like hanging out with my friends and then being like 2 seconds before the show, like running into the back of the club, grabbing a guitar and trying to do this stuff? It was really stupid. And I'm enjoying trying to do it right a little more, be a little more professional this time, and actually prepare.
It wasn't that long ago you were in Australia with Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
What are the memories of that tour?
It was great. It was a tour that Mike, our singer, really booked and put together on his own, and it was great. And the band is just was such a huge influence on me, and the way that we did things with Dillinger. It was probably like, if not the first, one of the first guitar bands I got into, and it's really come full circle being able to play with the band. And I know the band and Mike have a real connection with Australia. His kids have Australian citizenship, and so that was really fun. And now actually we're on tour with Metallica right now, and Robert Trujillo is in Metallica. His son Ty is playing in Suicidal Tendencies. I'm out there playing these songs I grew up listening to, so it really is a cool thing.
Do you enjoy playing arenas?
Um, yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's different. I mean, this round thing, the Metallica does this stage in the round, so it is a lot of stage to cover. I'm definitely getting exhausted running around this big donut. But like at least our set's a lot shorter than like a Metallica set. But then there's also this pit in the middle, where certain people have tickets or whatever, have access to, and there's no barricade, and you're like really just it feels like you're in a little club. It's wild. Like you look around you and you're in this arena, but then in this like giant stadium. But when you look down off the side of the stage in this pit, it really just feels like you're playing a little club. It's fun.
Yeah. So after the Metallica tour, what are the plans for you?
Just really the Dillinger stuff, mainly Australia with Dillinger.
Yeah. How do you view the legacy of Dillinger Escape Plan?
Uh, it's really weird because um, I just go off in an interview with a young guy who does a radio show that does predominantly metal and hardcore music, and he said something like he didn't think his show would exist if it wasn't for us, because like so many of the bands he felt were influenced by us, and that just sounds impossible to me. It just seems insane to me, and uh, it's weird to be a band that I felt never reached real commercial success, and but also almost every day someone says something that totally blows me away, that like I can't believe that somebody likes this band or it meant something to them like it does, or they could influence their band or whatever. So it's sometimes, a tremendous amount of imposter syndrome. Like I said, it's hard to believe anybody would even like this music, but almost every day, I get a really cool kind of reminder that I guess we did do something that was important to some people.
Yeah. Well, Ben, it's been great to catch up, and we look forward to seeing you in August.
Yeah, thank you so much.